Peter, wake up.
The funniest thing in the whole movie is it's just that Peter is like a Nosferatu style vampire.
This is my friend Stu. He works in computers and stuff.
They hired Stu as an IT guy to help them out with computer stuff. He told his family, I think he'll probably end up at about 40 seconds of the final movie. And he didn't find out until he got to Sundance that he's like the main character of the movie.
The plot.
He is the whole plot. And he didn't know.
You're dead and out of this world.
Welcome back, movie listers. My name is John, and I'm a filmmaker.
My name's Matt, and I'm a doctor. The movie list is a list of 100 movies that I've never seen before. John has curated these movies for me because they're his favorites. He's watching them for the 100th time. I'm watching them for the first time. We're going through them one at a time. And this week, we are covering What We Do in the Shadows.
That's right. Everyone's favorite fantasy film that was shot exclusively in New Zealand. Obviously, when you hear that, the first thing you think is What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows, of course.
No, but, I think the What We Do in the Shadows TV show, we're going to talk about it some of the episode, but probably the most true to the movie show that's ever been adapted for television. I'm sure a part of that is because Taika Waititi and especially Jemaine Clement was involved, throughout the process. But I don't know.
It's Jemaine. It's Jemaine Clement.
What? Who?
You said Jermaine.
His name is Jemaine.
Jemaine. It's Jemaine.
His name has an accent. How is that possible? I've been following him for 15 years since early Flight of the Conchords days. His name is Jemaine.
Jemaine, yeah.
I've only ever heard him say it. And so, hello, my name I'm Jemaine. I just thought his name was Jermaine. And he was saying it funny. With the Kiwi accent. Jemaine. Wow, that blows my mind, actually. Okay, Jemaine Clement. Am I saying that right? Is it like Clement?
I don't know.
Well,
I only know the Jemaine thing.
Jemaine, that actually blows my mind. Wow, that's crazy. Fun facts, this is why you listen to the movie list, guys. You learn things like this that you can really hold over your friends. It's usually the other way around.
That's what I was about to say. This is a rare one for me.
This was a fun. Anything else you want to tell me about filmmaking or movie star trivia while we're here?
That's my one for the year.
Did you know about Aragorn kicking the thing and breaking his foot in Lord of the
Yes.
Okay.
I'm over on the topic of New Zealand. Yeah, I know that one.
Might as well stick with that one. But listen, guys, while we are on this topic of, little known knowledge, if you guys want to be in on the know, if you want the early information, make sure you join the Turtle Club. Click the link below. Join our Patreon. We already have people joining. We actually had our first A-list guy. So there's a few different, tiers to it. The A-list are the ones who really help us decide what episode is next. And there's one guy that joined, and so he got to decide.
He decides.
It's either going to be next episode or the one after that. But he picked already. We're trying to make a couple things happen as far as interviews and the like. But if you want to be part of that process, you want to join on the conversation, join the Turtle Club. Be turtly enough. We got some exclusive merch, some ad-free experiences, some, bonus content, stuff that's uncut that we're not going to clip down, that you see the whole picture, and more stuff like learning the proper pronunciations of actors' names that I've talked to. That embarrasses me. I've said I could have been in a meeting with him and said his name wrong to him. Full confidence.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that didn't happen.
I am too. All right. Well, now I'm going to go into my coffin in shame. And Matt, you want to fill us in on What You Do in the Shadows?
I'd be delighted.
I will do my dishes!
What We Do in the Shadows is a mockumentary horror comedy about a group of vampire roommates living together in modern-day Wellington, New Zealand. Viago, Vladislav, Deacon, and the ancient Peter deal with everyday struggles of undead life. Paying rent, doing chores, getting into nightclubs, and finding victims without making too much of a mess. When they turn a young man named Nick into a vampire, their secretive world gets dragged into the modern age, forcing the group to deal with new technology, vampire politics, and a surprisingly wholesome friendship with Nick's human friend Stu.
You will not eat stew and you will not eat the camera guy. Maybe one camera guy.
All right, Jemaine. That's going to bother me. It's literally going to stick with me for like the next few weeks. I am thinking back all the times. Anyway, I digress. Matt, first thoughts on the original film adaptation, What We Do in the Shadows.
Right. So I watched the show first before I watched the movie. And you're right. It's like absolutely true to the movie.
Yep.
It feels like just another episode of the show.
Right. Like a long episode. Yeah.
Exactly. It just jives. The feel is exactly the same. So they replicated it perfectly. This is probably my favorite type of movie where like it's goofy and it's silly and it's not taking itself seriously. And everything in the whole movie start to finish is a joke.
Yeah.
Like everything is funny. And I think the funniest thing in the whole movie is not like a joke that's said. It's just that Peter is like a Nosferatu style vampire who's just rooming with these other normal looking vampires. He has these giant fangs, and that it's such a funny gag.
Is Peter going to be joining us? No, he's 8,000 years. He's not coming to the meeting.
He's 8,000 years old. It's just so good. You have a bunch of really great characters, and the whole movie centers around their interactions. And like, it almost wouldn't matter if this whole movie took place in one room,
Right.
just because like
Right.
what they're doing doesn't matter so much as who they are. And I love that. I love that kind of thing. It's just every line in the whole movie you can laugh at. So, I mean, I loved it. This was a great one. One of my favorites so far, just as far as like pure enjoyability. I watched it twice, like back to back.
Right.
So it's a very fun one.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, same. It's a movie that certain moments in a movie jump out. I remember seeing this movie probably, I don't know, maybe 2016 around there. When it had come out in the States. I again, like I'd mentioned before, I was a big fan of Flight of the Conchords, so I just saw it because it was like, oh, the Flight of the Conchords guy is doing a movie about vampires. That seems fun. It's kind of an office mockumentary style, which I am also a fan of, that format. But the moment when they're having the fight in the flat meeting,
we'll all do our jobs, starting with a certain deacon.
I will do my dishes! Then do that!
me and my wife, like literally, we had to pause it because we were laughing so hard at that. It was just so unexpected. It's so funny. I mean, I'm sure you can tell from the vibe of it, right? You have the kind of the office vibe. When you put genius comedians in the room, good stuff's going to happen. So there was a script that Jemaine and Taika Waititi had been working on. They made a short film when they were in college of this same concept, and then they worked on a script for about 10 years. It took them about 10 years to write a full-length script. They said they had like 200 pages. And then when they showed up, they scrapped the whole thing and decided literally just to improv this entire movie. They're the only ones on set the entire time who had read the script because they wanted everything to truly feel like a documentary where nobody knew what was happening, right? So they ended up filming 195 hours of footage and took them a year to cut that down to the 86 minutes that we see in the movie.
What, John? Just a question.
Yeah.
Like I don't have any concept of what's normal. So like what would you typically shoot for a movie of that length?
86 minutes, if you're shooting one camera, right? 86 minutes, maybe 10 hours, 10 to 15 hours on a scripted movie. Depends on certain directors, they want to take a bunch of takes. Certain directors want to have 20 different angles. It depends on how complicated the movie is, but you're talking like, usually it's probably 20 or 30 to 1, right? In that kind of ratio, right? So if you're talking about, maybe a bit longer, maybe you're talking a 2-hour movie, maybe 40 hours, right? This is 195, right? But you're talking multiple cameras, 2-3 cameras, true documentary style, they don't stop rolling. In fact, at one point they said there's a 30-second scene that they had set up. They said basically, here's the idea of the scene. And it went on for 22 minutes, right? So they truly just hired comedians, put them at their best, and let them, float. But there was also some fun to it. So I don't know if you know this, but Stu, right? The guy who played Stu, their IT guy, was actually their buddy, Stu Rutherford.
This is my friend Stu. He works in computers and stuff.
Who they went to college with. And I'm sure it's not surprising to you that Stu is not an actor. But the extent that they put Stu in the movie, he did not know. They hired Stu as an IT guy to help them out with computer stuff on the set and said, hey, do you mind if we put you in a couple scenes? He's like, sure. What do I say? And they said, oh, whatever they say to you, just say whatever you would respond as yourself. But so much footage was shot. He told his family, yeah, I'm going to be in the movie, but I'm more of a background actor. I think I'm probably going to be in 40 seconds. He said, I think I'll probably end up at about 40 seconds of the final movie. And he didn't find out until he got to Sundance and he saw his face on the poster that he's like the main character of the movie.
The plot.
He is the whole plot. And he didn't know because so much stuff was happening and they just kept throwing him in scenes. I think Taika Waititi and Jemaine figured out early on that he is hilarious as a straight man. So just putting him in every scene made it like 10 times funnier from a contrast standpoint. And so they just started, screw the script. They scrapped it and they just started putting him in every scene from that point. And they're like, he's the movie now. And they basically rewrote the movie around Stu, who was not an actor and was not even supposed to be in the movie in the first place. Which to me makes it like 100 times funnier.
That's freaking great.
He didn't know. He didn't know he was going to be like a major actor in the movie. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine like thinking you're a background actor and then going to the premiere and finding out like you're the star?
You're on the poster. You think you're an extra. You're the main guy.
Literally. He said people were coming up to him and like, you're Stu. He's like, how do you know who I am? He was like trying to excuse, like, no, I'm not. I'm like barely in the movie. They're like, no, we've seen it already. You're the star of the show.
I love that.
That must be a crazy experience.
So now I'm going to wake up my flatmates. Wake up! Wake up, everyone! Okay. Ladislav! Oh, sorry. Peter, wake up.
I love how each of the vampires are like very obviously pointing to a like traditional vampire movie. Like you had mentioned Nosferatu. So Peter obviously is Nosferatu, which is hilarious. Viago is Tom Cruise's character in Interview with a Vampire, right? So he's kind of fashioned after him. Deacon is like the 80s bad boy in The Lost Boys, right? So he's like Kiefer Sutherland in The Lost Boys. Vlad is Gary Oldman's Dracula, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. And kind of extra fun fact there. He's Vladimir and he loves to poke people. So he's like, I am Vladimir the poker.
Vladislav.
Right? Vladislav, thank you. Vladislav the poker. I got his name wrong in two different ways now.
Sorry. Actually, I got it wrong too. It's Vladislav.
Vladislav the poker, which is actually based on Vlad the Impaler, who Vlad the Impaler is the original Dracula. So we get the idea of Dracula from Vlad the Impaler, who I think his name was like Vlad Dracula from Transylvania, which is now, I think is now modern day Romania.
Maybe.
If I'm not mistaken. I know we have some fans in Romania from the Borat episode who reached out to us. So shout out Romania.
Yeah, shout out Romania.
You guys are staying safe out there.
Yeah, I read something just by happenstance this week about Vlad the Impaler. And I don't know if it's true or not. I didn't research it beyond just reading the post, but somebody was saying that people thought that he could transform into a bat because his troops were fighting a battle and they retreated over this hilltop at dusk or like at sundown.
Right.
And so like the enemy pursued them over the hill and they couldn't see anything because the sun was in their eyes. And then
Right.
they released a bunch of rabid bats. And like, so they thought that they had turned into bats and like the bats bit a bunch of them and they all went rabid.
That
Anyway.
made sense. Yeah.
I mean,
They
sounds made up.
They really
but-
took some leaps in logic back then.
Yeah.
There are bats. He must have become a bat.
Because they couldn't see them anymore.
That made sense.
Where'd the bats come from? Can you explain that, John? How else do you explain that?
I can't. I thought it was because he dipped his bread in blood of his enemies, and that's why that's kind of turned into Dracula drinking blood. They really took some leaps. They took
he probably had iron deficiency anemia and had pica from it. So you eat like dirt and stuff to get
the movie
iron.
list
The movie list
with the doctor.
I am a doctor.
It's
I'm not
true.
a urologist, much to that one guy's chagrin in the comment section, but I am an actual medical doctor. So sorry, it's not cool like urology.
Yeah, I think that urology isn't that just like a hobby at this point? Isn't that like because what you kind of just do? It's just like it's like a side project.
I mean, not to throw too much shade on urology. We need urologists, all right?
Yeah.
But I mean, never mind. One of the little nuances about it I thought was really funny is that they're all terrible at playing instruments. Like, there's one scene where it shows them all playing instruments and they're all terrible and they're all like, several hundred years old. Like,
Right.
how could you be bad at an instrument when you have
I can be bad at
nothing
anything.
but time? Yeah.
Right.
I just thought that was a funny little
The
quirk.
instruments, the drawing, they're not great at drawing. Like
Right.
they don't have TV at this point. They don't have technology. So like, what have they been doing?
Right. And then also funny, like one thing I had never really thought about with vampires, like we all know they don't have a reflection. But I never thought about that being like inconvenient to them.
Right.
Like they don't know what they look like, so like drawing pictures of each other. This is what you look like.
Dude, the montage of the clothes is so funny. When they're
is
just
funny.
like trying to look all hot and then they
Yes.
don't know how to wear clothes because they don't know what
And
they look
one-
like. They haven't seen themselves in like thousands of years.
Hello, ladies.
This is one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. Deacon says, "When you become a vampire, you become very sexy." And he's like, obviously.
I love that. One of my favorite lines around that is when they're like talking. They're like, Viago's kind of talking about all the different ones, and he's talking about Deacon. He's like, Deacon, he's like kind of the young bad boy of the group, and it cuts to him, and it says, Deacon, 183 years old. Like he's the young, dangerous one. He's 183.
I mean, relative to the rest of them,
I know. Yeah, so I think Viago, which is Taika Waititi's character, is 379. Vladislav the Poker, Jemaine, is 870. Deacon the young bad boy is 183. And then Peter is 8,000.
That's so old.
When he wakes him up. And he's like, maybe I could bring a broom and you could clean up a little bit.
Oh, it's the spinal column. Yeah.
He's like, okay, and he just gives him a whole chicken,
Let's use
like
this
a
chicken.
live chicken. Just eats the chicken. Oh man, there's so many little good bits in there. One of my favorite lines in it is just Jemaine Vlad's line of, "We're vampires. We don't put down towels." He's like asking him to, like, next time he eats somebody on
Has
his
a meal,
couch
yeah.
and the blood goes everywhere. He's like, "Could you put down some towels maybe next time?"
And then when he does do that, he was putting down all these newspapers. He's like,
And it still ends up like a huge disaster. Yeah.
he's trying to make it really nice for them because it's their last moment on Earth. So he's like,
Right.
playing
Yeah.
instruments for them and stuff. It's
Right.
funny.
I mean, I think like this obviously came out way after The Office, right? So there's like tons of just fun stuff in there, but it's still very, very original. And the show, like you were mentioning before, the show really continues on. I think in the show when you have Nadja and Laszlo, and then Nandor, the relentless, which is one of my favorite like jokes in any show ever. When he's the news, he's
The
like,
news,
they're like,
dude.
"What's your name?" He's like, Nandor the Relentless. She's like, Nandor de Laurentiis.
I'm here with a local resident who has been watching the situation closely. His name is Nandor.
Nandor the Relentless.
Nandor de Laurentiis. Now, Nandor, you live in this neighborhood, correct?
Yes, that's right, Joy, and I do. In that house just over there. With my friends. It's fun.
And then it just plays it at the bottom of the screen. That's such a funny joke.
But I think the new edition of the emotional vampire, Colin Robinson, Mark Pruksch, and I always forget how to say his name, Pruksch, I think. Genius.
Perfect.
It's just absolutely genius, right? Because it takes all of this level of like the practicality. Like if you were a vampire, you forget that your life would just be so boring, right? And then to the added level of, we all know emotional vampires, right? We all know those guys in our lives who like, they corner you and you're like, oh gosh. So it's just endless jokes. So like I was trying to find like what I thought was the funniest Colin Robinson thing. And in my research in this, I won't take credit for it. This Redditor, minus numbers, found something incredible. This incredible theory I want to share with you. So here is this fan theory about Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows. So there's an episode in the first season where he's reading his journal, and one of the fans took a screenshot of the journal and zoomed in on it. And it says, on the subway today, I went up to start a conversation. I made small talk as usual, gave him the impression that I was a lonely man talking about the weather and other things. And this man tried to be pleasant and accommodating, but I could tell his head was hurting from my banality. Suddenly, he threw up all over me, which was great. I pretended not to be pleased, and the man couldn't stop apologizing. And then it was like he couldn't stop laughing. A lot of these John Does out there, if you train them enough, you can feel the moment when they finally snap and you've broken their minds. So what he did is he went and found the line of John Doe in Seven, in David Fincher's Seven. Morgan Freeman's character finds John Doe's journal, and it says,
on the subway today, a man came up to me to start a conversation. He made small talk, this lonely man talking about the weather and other things. I tried to be pleasant and accommodating, but my head began to hurt from his banality. I almost didn't notice it had happened, but I suddenly threw up all over. He was not pleased, and I couldn't stop laughing.
So this fan has connected that Colin Robinson is directly responsible for the events of Seven. He caused John Doe. Which is, that's incredible. It's so incredible.
I love that. Hey, nobody's stopping you from tying your story to another one that way. You know?
Literally. Why not? Especially Colin Robinson. And
right.
As if he's not the gift that keeps on giving. We talked about the Seven thing, right? We talked about like the news De Laurentiis. Do you know about Mark Pruksch's like the beginning of his career?
I don't know anything about it.
So he did The Office before What We Do in the Shadows. He did The Office, right. And he did what was the Breaking Bad spinoff? Better Call Saul.
Yeah,
he did Better Call Saul and he did The Office, right? Before that, he ran a film festival called the Found Footage Film Festival, which is basically just people bring like funny news bloopers, and it's all the stuff like you and I love, right? So he was like, why can't we create these? He's a comedian. And so what he started doing was he created a character named K-Strass. And K-Strass goes around the country, specifically the Midwest, and goes on news stations and is a professional yo-yoist who's trying to spread the news to high schoolers about being green and try to save global warming. So I went ahead and did my own found footage film festival, and I cut together for you, Matt, and for our audience, just a super cut of the best K-Strass moments I could find.
Oh boy.
With us this morning, K-Strass, a yo-yo professional. Kind of an interesting line of work, to say the least.
He's visiting medicine schools this week, teaching kids about being green. Now, how do you combine going green with the yo-yo?
Honestly, it's been kind of a struggle to get into some of the schools, but it's a shame because they pay really well. Basically, the kids don't like my stories. I think there's something to be said about how kids are brought up these days. And I come from a home that believed in spanking. Okay, we'll be laughing so hard.
They think he's real, by the way.
Don't even get
they think he's a
the
real
environmental
professional
stuff.
yo-yoist.
Tell us a little bit about how you got started to be a yo-yo master.
Honestly, I am just a 35-year-old kid at heart. You know, twice divorced. I have no kids. I don't have a girlfriend. Don't want one. My parents live in Denver. They just got divorced.
And actually, I understand you lost a friend just recently.
Had he is Garth Brooks, Eric Stringer, the Garth Brooks of yo-yoing, was a mentor. Not literally, but he was a class act. And so, could we just take a second of silence?
If you want to, sure.
But I was looking the Grim Reaper in his eyes, and I was at a door, and it was locked, and I needed a key, and this was the doorknob, literally. It was a jet ski accident.
Ooh, okay.
It was a jet ski accident.
I kind of have breaking news. This may literally be the last time you see me in this shirt. They are going in a different direction, and it's a direction without me. And am I angry about this, Kyle? Yes, I am. It has a lot of ups and downs. And your typical yo-yoing, because I'm just twirling it, but when you get the kids their yo-yos, and they start doing, it's probably my dad, I'm not even gonna get. So you get that one going. Oops, lost one.
Oh, you're all right?
Yeah. And then we're going and we get worrying and we're like, all right, everybody, let's take it down to the ground and we'll get into a Huey. And we get going. Oops. Try to.
Don't hurt yourself. Oh.
You know what? Do you have a clip?
A clip?
You okay?
Yeah, I got.
What should I
got
do?
Very dizzy.
Okay. Can you do that? Okay, because you've got all 8 yo-yos in there, but actually we got 7 now. So,
honestly, I think I'm gonna give up some of the yo-yo stuff because I don't have the muscle memory.
Okay. Well, anyway, but
brother in Portland, who I don't get along with very well because of his wife. I'm not gonna go. It's my dad. Hi.
We're dealing with some issues this morning,
Yep.
so we will actually
call.
just head that back to Jeff and Bow, and we'll be joining you a bit more with some of these yo-yo tricks coming up in just a bit.
Yeah, we should probably tell you that Kenny is dealing with some personal issues.
That's fantastic, man. He is the gift that keeps on giving.
He really is, dude. Every part of that was real Colin Robinson. Somehow they let him on the news.
Just to drain them all.
Literally, my favorite part was he goes, I'm just a 35-year-old kid at heart. Twice divorced.
Don't have a girlfriend.
Don't want one. He goes, my parents are in Denver. They just got divorced.
That's just the worst possible guest to have on the show.
And he's not even good at, he doesn't know how to yo-yo. And he just got on all of these news stations. It's freaking hilarious.
How did he manage that? That's so impressive.
He made a website.
Do you like that, Nick?
Yep. That's nice. Nick, are you a virgin at all?
Yes.
No.
You were a virgin when we were seeing each other?
Yeah, I was 12.
Good, guys. 2 dinners. Yum.
Nick, do you like biscotti? Yep, usually like it. But be better if it was warm.
Didn't realize you enjoyed eating worms, Nick.
No. They are world off. There's worms wiggling around in my plate.
So after everybody gets sort of introduced in that first section of the movie, then the plot really starts to pick up when they're trying to get some people over to their house. So they have their familiar bring two people who she thinks are virgins, who neither of them are. And she's like, well, you were a virgin back in high school when we were dating. Or when we were kids. And I was 12 years old.
I was 12.
Yeah.
I think my wife told me her favorite character in the movie was Jackie, who was their familiar. Because like she's like just doing all this work for them, but she's like with the hopes of being a vampire. And then they go to her house, like Deacon goes to her house, and she has like a full family.
Right.
She has like 4 kids and a husband. And like she's just like wants to just leave them and become a vampire.
Right. And
It was
there's
really
that
freaking funny.
there's a scene where she's like giving her husband like a grocery list, you know, and they tell each other that they love each other. And then she says, but I am your master now.
After she becomes a vampire.
Her husband becomes her familiar.
That's so funny.
My husband is my familiar, so there's been a dynamic shift there. I love you.
I love you too.
Great. But I am your master. Okay.
But basically, so that's where we introduce this character Nick, who goes to this dinner party, and then they serve him some biscotti and make him think it's worms with hypnosis and a couple other things. And then he tries to escape. And when he's trying to get out of that house, that scene is like crazy intense, like out of nowhere. Yeah,
I know.
was like,
It's
like,
scary.
you start to like panic a little bit.
Yeah,
You like, can't get out of
yeah.
this house, and the vampires are like right behind him. And
Right.
it's such a weird scene because you have these vampires who are just like being goofy and like, oh, and he's like running for his life.
He's like, your penis is now a snake.
But like,
He's like,
yeah,
I
he's-
gotta go. My penis is a snake.
so
It
he tries to get out of the house, and then he makes it out barely, and then Peter gets him, and then we later find out that he was turned into a vampire by Peter,
Right,
and that whole
right.
segment where he's talking about becoming a vampire is so freaking funny, man.
Mm-hmm.
Is he's like, first of all, Peter is like, I woke up and Peter offered me some blood, and I thought this is just a German thing. He says he goes home. He goes to the doctor, who's like baffled, clearly, because he's got this huge gash in his neck. And he says that he gets sick after he gets bit. He says it's like a flu, except my eyes would bleed heaps. And he says, hot and cold and bloody eyes and flying and stuff.
He's like in the corner. He goes
Just, like,
cold.
just sweating it out. And then like his reflection, he's starting to lose his reflection. And so it's like delayed, which I thought was a really cool way of illustrating that.
Yeah.
And then they introduce, like they go out on their first like night of the town.
Right.
Night on the town where they go to the vampire bar or whatever. But Nick, because he's like a modern man, like knows people, so he can get him into like actual clubs, not just the vampire one that nobody's in. And then he introduces them to Stu, who's his buddy. And that introduction is like, it's way funnier than it lets on. So like the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, whatever. The second time I watched it, I was like, I almost peed my pants laughing. He's like, so he hypnotizes him. He's like, you can't hear me. And then he's like, he has no idea how bad I want to eat him. He's just, look at him. He's the reddest guy I know.
His face is all flushed.
It really, really sucks that I can't eat them. I just want to like, look at it. He's the reddest guy I know.
He's the reddest guy I know.
You gotta watch it another time now that you know that Stu didn't know what was going on at all.
Right.
So that's why his lines are all just like, he's just very awkward because like They didn't give him any lines. They would throw him lines sometimes that it would make sense. He didn't know what was going on. He thought he was a background extra. They gave him jobs to do on set as the IT guy.
Right.
Which is so funny.
That is very funny.
I love the going back to the when they're chasing Nick and they're trying to corner him in the house. I love how it like starts scary and then it just gets like progressively more ridiculous. Like it's actually kind of like a horror vampire thing. And then you got like Vlad's face on a cat for some reason.
Right.
And then he goes in that room. You have like the slow turn, where it's usually in horror movies, whenever the camera turns one way, the frame back this way, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, here goes the jump scare. And then Deacon's inside his backpack, and he reaches outside of his backpack and he's crawling out, which is so funny.
I didn't notice he was
gotta
in
go
the
back and
backpack.
look. He's inside the backpack. Man, low key, honestly, like this movie's like some of their practical effects and like
Really good.
visual effects, really good.
Yeah.
It does it kind of like it's almost like a new type of genre stuff because like some of their effects in this stuff is like better than most horror movies. Like they feel more real.
Right. I feel like doing this sort of like hybrid, like it's a horror motif. Nothing about it's really horror, you know, but like the setting is.
Right.
And so they get to kind of use a lot of the, I don't know how to put this.
I know it wasn't
in
a
movie
big
terms.
I know it wasn't a big budget. Sorry to cut
Especially
you
it's
off.
like a lot of horror stuff can get away with being kind of ham-fisted, you know? Like it's not very nuanced. It's just kind of clunky, but it works because of the genre. I feel like they kind of are able to shoehorn a comedy into that environment, and it just freaking works.
It really works.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, $1.6 million budget.
Really?
So, I mean, like, really impressive.
Shoestring.
Shoestring. I mean, I know it's like mostly him and his friends. So, like, when you get comedians like that who can just go, obviously you have Taika Waititi, Jemaine coming from Flight of the Conchords, Taika having a great career outside of this of writing, directing. Went on to do Thor, Ragnarok, which honestly is probably top 3 favorite Marvel movies for me. I just watched it the other. I'm going through my own movie list with my daughter. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and we're going through our own movie list. We're going through the MCU right now in order.
I didn't know that.
I was cackling at it.
It's
Taika
a funny movie.
He plays, I forget the guy's name, The Rock. Hey, what's up, bro?
Korg.
Hey, Korg is Taika Waititi. It's so good. He really, honestly, I think, if you put it back in that time where the MCU was, it was slogging a little bit. And especially Thor, the Thor 1 was okay. Thor 2 was bad. Just was not good.
Right.
Thor, and so Ragnarok, I think with that opening scene with, the lightning, AC/DC, it made it feel like a comic book. It made it feel like a comic book, which seems obvious, right? Like, why would you make a Marvel movie not feel like a comic book?
Right.
Yeah, like none of them had thought to do that, though. None of them had thought to take Thor, the god of thunder, who is not just a comic book character. They got to understand from the fan standpoint, this is not just a comic book character. It's a specific type of comic book fan character. We did Bill and Ted's last week. Thor was a Bill and Ted comic book character. Thor was the weirdos who also love Iron Maiden and love AC/DC and love rock and roll, but they're not nerds, but they're also not jocks, And I feel like you and I kind of landed there. We were in a band. Like I played football and like hung out with those guys, but we weren't really either of those things. You probably were more on the nerd side. No offense.
How dare you? No,
just from a grades standpoint, I was more on the jock side of the fence. Just from a grade standpoint, I got like a 1.7 GPA in freshman year, and so that checks out. But we all, we kind of were more in that like we're somewhere in between, but we're like the guys who love music. We love rock and roll. We love band stuff. But we also love comic books and movies. And Taika brought that and really kind of injected life back into the Marvel series. And I don't think he did another one unless I'm mistaken. But that, like his impact just from Ragnarok carried through the series. He reinvented Thor in a way that Thor went from like my least favorite character to like my favorite character.
Right.
You
It
know,
became
which
funny.
became funny and lovable, you know, and earnest and like all those things that you need in that kind of character. And another fun fact about this, Stu Rutherford, who played, I think I'm saying his name right, who's Stu in this movie, designed, it was actually an IT guy and actually software engineer, designed the lighting system in that movie that they used in that beginning scene with fighting Ragnarok, where Valkyrie is, you know, flying through the sky, riding a horse. The light is going all around her. Stu designed the light system that they used in that movie, which is incredible, by the way. It's beautiful.
Yeah, way to go, Stu.
Good job, Stu. So he's not good for just, you know, saving this universe. He's also saving the MCU. So Stu is technically in the MCU, along with
There you
Bill and
go.
Ted.
And his superpowers being the reddest guy.
Exactly.
The after Nick becomes a vampire, one of the things I like about how they make like vampire culture is it's just so bizarre. Because like these people are immortal, you know, so they've been around forever, hundreds of years, you know. So like, what do you do on a Tuesday night when you're 800 years old? You know,
Right.
And so there's a scene where Deacon is just dancing. He's like putting on a show for Vlad and Viago. He's just like doing this crazy dance to this wild music, by the way. And then Nick shows up and like he's still trying to learn how to fly, and so like he struggles to get in the window for like a minute. And like, why don't you just take the door? He's like, I can fly. Why would I take the door? And then he says, Deacon says, like, I was putting on a sensual dance for my friends, and then we're getting really into it, and you interrupted it. Just like, these guys are so bored, they're just watching their buddy do a dance.
I love it. I love the back and forth of Nick. Obviously, like, you know, I talked about all the other ones of like, if Deacon is the Lost Boys, you know, Nick is like the Twilight, right? He's the Edward Cullen vampire, right?
He
like
even says as much in the movie.
Really, you're right. He's like the new sexy one. And so just Deacon no longer being the cool vampire, you know, because like since the Lost Boys, there really hadn't been another iteration of vampires that changed anything, right? And so Twilight came along and replaced Lost Boys as like the cool vampire, the cool sexy vampires. And so you see that playing out in the movie through Deacon of like, he's actively being replaced as like the young cool guy, which was like his identity.
Who he has like access and can get him into cool places. And
Exactly.
They're
like, oh, that's Deacon. He does wild and crazy things. And then like Nick actually is that. He knows all the bouncers, but then he's also creating problems. He's telling everybody that he's a vampire, including one guy at the bar who's like, oh, I'm a vampire hunter. He's like, you're hilarious.
Good one. Yeah.
Turns out he was right.
He actually was a vampire hunter. Yeah. I did like that little segment of the movie where like Stu just got introduced and the vampires just for no reason love Stu so much. and Nick's trying to figure out how to fit into this group. And there's just one scene I feel like is really understated, but it's so funny, where Nick is talking to Peter. And he's like, hey man, don't turn my buddy Stu into a vampire. He's a vegetarian. And the last thing he'd want to do is eat people.
What I'm trying to say is, because I know that you turned me into a vampire, maybe don't do that to him. He's a vegetarian. The last thing he'd want to do is eat a live being or eat blood or eat meat.
So just leave him alone. And Peter's just like, he's just like grunt. And he leaves him alone.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
And then we can't move on past this moment without talking about the werewolf interaction.
Beautiful.
It's so good. Rhys Darby, who is like the he's like, I'm the alpha male.
Right.
He's so, again, going back to Flight of the Conchords, he stole my heart in Flight of the Conchords. He was Murray in Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
Just one of my favorite scenes in Flight of the Conchords. Obviously, Flight of the Conchords is Jemaine and Brett McKenzie. They're a two-piece, comedy musical group. And Murray is their manager. And he meets in like this like back closet. And that's his office. He's like, all right, here we go. Band meeting. Jemaine. He goes, yeah. He goes, all right, check. And Brett. And Brett's like, well, yeah, well, obviously. He's like, all right, present. All right, Murray. Present. And he takes roll.
He takes roll for the three of them.
He's like, we need to talk about our fan base. They're like, what, you mean Mel? He's like, they have one fan, Mel. And he calls, he's like, yeah, well, I like to call him our fan base, it makes it seem a little bigger. But yeah, Mel. I love Murray. But yeah, anyway, the werewolves, one of the funniest parts of this whole movie. I think they only have two, maybe three scenes. Yeah, technically three scenes.
Yeah, there's three scenes, yeah.
But they're just so impactful, and he's so funny, like when they start like kind of getting in there and they start cursing. He's like, "Hey, what did I say?"
Hey, don't swear.
Sorry,
We're werewolves.
Not swear.
What are we?
Werewolves, not swear.
No, it's
It's a very offensive word to call people.
Which is so dumb.
Yes.
Yeah, and a fun fact around that, they've been developing a sequel to this movie since it came out. Obviously, Taika Waititi and Jemaine Clement are so busy, so they haven't really had time to sit down and write it, and it'd probably take them another year, and then they wouldn't use the script again.
Yeah, right.
But they're actually developing a sequel that focuses on the werewolves in New Zealand, and it's actually, get this, the title of it is Werewolves. Which is like, it's so obvious, it's right there, but it's also so hilarious. And so I really hope if they do it, they bring back Rhys Darby to be the lead. He's like, I'm the alpha male, right?
Yeah,
to play the alpha male of werewolves.
Right.
And Stu, for Stu and Rhys Darby to come back, it's another thing. I'd watch it. I'd watch the hell out of that.
Same. And then just before we move on, Nick introduces them into the how to use the internet, which is really funny because he says you can find anything on the internet, and then Viago says, "I lost a nice silk scarf around 1912," and then Deacon says, "Now Google it."
And he's showing them Facebook. He's like, Google pictures of virgins. He's like, now what can you do with these pictures? He's like, well, you can, add her on Facebook. You can poke them. He's like, yes. Poke them.
Get out of my way! Going in! I'm coming, Peter! Deacon, no, I'm coming for you!
I was too late.
We have Peter getting killed in a horrific sunlight accident because the vampire hunter got in and came through the window. And then, Vlad tries to save him, but he's too late with his bucket of water.
Yeah.
Tragic stuff. And then
and it was police, like such a small bucket of water too. I know, for the amount of fire there was. Get out of my way!
I was too late. And then the police come to their door and they're like, so yeah, we've had a complaint about a break-in, and then a lot of shrieking.
Just responding to reports of a possible forced entry and also a rather large amount of shrieking. Just wondering, maybe we could come in, just have a wee look around.
You will not notice anything out of the ordinary.
No, we certainly hope not. Let's just keep going.
And then he lets us know. He's like, I'm not good at hypnotizing, so this could wear off at any time. So now everyone's like nervous the whole time the police are there. And they're looking around. It was obvious.
Deacon and Nick were fighting. So they're like floating in the air. as the police walk in.
Right, Vlad's holding Deacon back, and Deacon's like actively flying him into the corner. Where Nick is just like Spider-Man, in that arena where he's fighting Bonesaw up in the corner.
Bonesaw is ready. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. Rest in peace, Macho Man.
Good stuff, man. All right. But yeah, so he hypnotizes them, and then they're like looking around. They look up in the corner, and they see Nick like stuck to the wall. They're like, "Wait a minute! There's no fire detectors, and there's no smoke alarms."
Oh man, which honestly is super accurate for city inspectors.
But then they go down into the basement, and they're like, "Look at this! You've got these 2 buckets of accelerant right underneath an electrical outlet." And right underneath a bunch of like newspaper, whatever. And
there's like a burned body, like a corpse right next to him. There's like spinal columns.
Right. And the smashed vampire hunter. And they're like, he's not going to be happy about this when he wakes up.
He's going to be cold.
Not having a good time. That concrete slab's not going to give him any warmth.
He needs a blanket. And he's being crushed by a giant concrete slab.
He's dead. He's dead. And then as they're about to leave, somebody's like, should we just kill them? And then Vlad says,
well, let's just see what other safety points they have, and then maybe we'll
and then we'll decide. It's like he actually wants the safety tips.
Oh, that's really funny. Oh man.
And then right after that, they banish Nick. Like they have a little vampire tribunal.
Right.
And they say they're going to banish him indefinitely.
At least 6 months.
They're like, indefinitely. He's like, well, indefinitely means a long time. Like, could be tomorrow, could be 6 months. He's like, no, at least 6 months. Like that. They're immortal vampires, and they're talking about 6 months of banishment for killing an 8,000-year-old vampire. It's just funny. That's just so good
funny.
writing.
It's so funny. So when I don't think it didn't make the final cut of the movie, but there was a scene originally where they have a funeral for Peter, where they're going to sort of give him like a Viking funeral, and they're going to send him off into the Hutt River in Wellington in New Zealand. And so they do the scene, and they get Peter's burned corpse, and they put him on a raft, and they just kind of send him off. I don't know what happens, but you can imagine with the movie, I'm sure some sort of hilarity ensued, right? But they only had one corpse. They're like, all right, we got to do this right. We got to, make sure we get the shot. So they send it off, and then they show Peter's corpse going down the river, right? And then they say, okay, cut. And they're like, wait a minute. Like, it's still going down the river. And this is a lifelike, realistic burned corpse that we just sent down the Wellington River. They're like, someone's going to find this and freak out. So they tried to find it, and they couldn't find it. So the filmmakers had to send out a press release to the city of Wellington to say, if you find a burned corpse in the Hutt River, it's not real. It's part of this movie that we're doing. Which is so fun. I love stories like that.
Can you imagine being the guy who's like, oh my God,
to find that
scorched corpse?
And then you look closer at it, and it's freaking scorched Nosferatu. You're like, what did I just find? With his like spiky teeth. Nothing could be more terrifying.
Not human, I'll tell you
Literally,
that.
definitely not. Yeah, I love when he's I think it's around this time when they're getting ready to go to that party, and Jemaine's character Vlad doesn't want to go, and so he's like, I don't know, he hasn't.
He's like rotten for some reason.
He's just turned rotten.
Just leave me to do my dark bidding on the internet.
What are you bidding on?
I'm bidding on a table.
That's a
table. Oh man,
I love that. Now that you say that, they did tell us why the cat face was his. They said that after his his battle with the beast where he lost,
Yeah.
that he was never the same. And he said
Right.
he used to be able to hypnotize huge crowds, and he used to be able to turn into all kinds of animals, but now he never gets the faces right. So that's why the
That's
cat.
so good. I never noticed that.
Yeah. Yeah. So they did explain that.
He never gets the faces, so it's just an animal with his
It's
face.
his face. And they show, I think they even show it in some of the artwork that the faces were his. But
Right. Which I mean, like, speaking of the artwork is all amazing. Like the opening credits, I don't know if we hit on that, but that stuff's hilarious. I was like pausing just like in between just to look at everyone because they're all masterpieces.
Right.
There's the one of Peter, and it's like a 90s like glam photo shoot where like his face is here and he's got like the glamour shot looking
I didn't
off
notice
of that. It's so good. They're
I
all
love
good.
that stuff.
Every single one of them's good.
Those 90s photo shoots. So we gotta make one of those for the Turtle Club.
Definitely.
Make a poster.
For sure. I love that idea. Yeah, the beast. You're talking about the beast. That's hilarious. Showing the picture of the beast when they're talking about it. It's like a rat with like a penis like on its chest. That was like he had a great battle with the beast. And then they go to the party and it's just his ex-girlfriend. And he comes up, he's like, have you already forgotten your former lover? And he has the mask on. And she's like, Georgie? He's like, no, like 5 years after that. That's such a funny line.
No, there's no wasted lines in this movie.
Literally.
My favorite part of the whole, like the masquerade is a very funny sequence. The fact that they brought a human to a room full of zombies, witches, and vampires.
And the zombies are like trying to teach them the zombie rules of like, I don't have hands up.
He's sitting next to that zombie who's drinking a beer. He's like, pardon if I ask you a personal question, but are you pre-deceased? He's like so formal about it. Pre-deceased is a funny way for the undead to refer to the alive.
That's very funny.
I just think that's very funny.
That's freaking very funny.
But my favorite part of that whole sequence is when I don't remember her name, but the beast, Stu starts talking about his job because they realize he's a human. And so he's like, yeah, I'm an analyst. And they're like, well, what does that mean? He's like, okay. So there are organizations, and these organizations have their own rules and criteria. And so we analyze those rules so that our company, and then she goes, virgin. He's a virgin.
Dude, this is so good. This is so much better. The warehousing, the data analyst stuff, the warehousing, that's actually what Stu does. He was actually explaining his real job. Because that's all he knew how to do. I mean, like they asked him a question, and he was like, well, okay, I'll tell you what I do for that's actually what he did for a living at the time, which is hilarious. That's so funny.
I love it. It's so great. Virgin. He's a virgin. Instead of talking about his
he goes,
boring
I can
job.
smell a virgin from 100 yards away. He's like, fine, then why don't you go 100 yards that way and smell yourself?
I didn't catch that.
That's freaking funny, dude. I love that whole sequence.
It's very funny. It's a great, just
Yeah.
the setup. To think of that setup.
Right.
You bring a human in to a room full of things that want to eat him.
Right.
It's very funny. It's a very funny idea.
Yeah.
Props to them for that.
For sure. And they get him out. They're walking home. And then one more showdown with the werewolves. And Murray's not so nice this time. He's like, he's actually
starting to
saying some kind of
turn.
mean things.
Right.
I'm really stressed right now.
It's a full moon. I'm irritable. Everybody brought their locks, and there's like a bunch of problems with it. Like they don't have the keys, or they forgot the code, or they brought clothes that they're going to tear out. It's like, you know how big you get when you turn into a werewolf.
They're all wearing jeans. Oh man, the idea of all of them just wearing like tracksuits is so funny. Another random story I heard. So Stu, who was the star of the show, obviously, went on Taika Waititi's first movie he directed. I forget the name of it, but the first movie he ever directed, he hired Stu as a runner, right? Basically an assistant, just to do little tasks for him. And Stu was like, "This is my chance. I'm really gonna like become like a film guy." So he said he bought 2 tracksuits, a red one and a black one, and he was gonna like that was gonna make his new style. And he wore it the one day, and then he was like, "This is stupid. Why did I do this?" And so he went back to his normal clothes. And Taika said, "No, I want you to wear a tracksuit every day from now on." So he made him wear a tracksuit from that point on.
That's great.
So I mean, they've just been pranking this guy this whole time, which is
Yeah,
so funny.
that's
Like
exactly what you would have done to me.
100%. That's what I'm like 100% that would happen. I would literally just like hire you just to be in a tracksuit if you weren't so busy freaking being a doctor and all that stuff, wasting
Whatever
time.
I do on my day job.
Literally.
But dude, that the werewolves thing, there's a couple of things I loved about that. So, just the basics first of all. The fact that Deacon says, if I know Stu, I think this is what he would have wanted.
He was disemboweled by freaking dog, by werewolves.
There's blood splattered on the trees, and like he just goes into this gruesome detail. Like, that's so funny. Stu's just a regular guy. And then the police, when they're talking about, like, yeah, it seems like these dog attacks happen once a month. They're getting more frequent. And she said, it's not good for anyone to have these people disemboweled by these dogs, especially not the dogs.
And they cut to that dog. Like, we're gonna have to put him down now. And it was like
just a random
puppy.
dog.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, when they show that Stu didn't actually die,
right?
He just turned into a werewolf,
right?
And they show a video that's a reenactment of him being found by the werewolves.
I forgot about that.
The video reenactment, all the werewolves are naked. It's just a reenactment. It's completely
But then it says
unnecessary.
reenactment. It's so funny, dude. I forgot about that. I completely forgot about that scene. That's got to be one of the funniest jokes in the movie.
It's a great joke, man. Like I like that they hide so many of their good jokes in like the subtext. I love that. Everything in the movie is a joke.
You're talking about 195 hours, dude. How many? Like, I actually heard that, and if somehow you guys are watching this, Jemaine, somebody send this to him, Taika, freaking Stu, anybody. If you're watching this, I've heard a rumor that they've talked about releasing all of the footage online so that the fans can edit their own versions of the movie. Which,
Bro.
like, that.
Dude, we've got to do that if they do that.
I'll be first in line. I would love to make my own version of it. But yeah, my version would just be, everything would be focused on the werewolves, the alpha male.
That would be a fun movie.
It would be.
Now, one thing I noticed, and just kind of a movie making piece, the werewolves, I think they probably ran into some kind of technical limitation with the costumes and like how bulky they were.
Right.
And so all the shots of the wolves, they're like off in the distance in the dark, or they're very dynamic shots, or like the wolf like coming right at the camera. And I think that's a really cool way to get around that limitation and make it seem purposeful.
Right.
In a way, like the wolves, you never get a good look at them. And I like that. I like the way that they did it. Because they give you just enough that you're satisfied, but mysterious enough that like it hides the clunkiness of the costumes.
Right.
Which is beautiful.
I like that some of them were in varying stages of them. Some of them were like full on, like looked like a friggin' Wampa from Star Wars. And then some of them were like Teen Wolf. So it's like kind of the same thing. Like there are all the different styles of werewolves within that same fight. Yeah. There was like big ones and like slim ones and like
when that one vampire was flying and the wolves were hanging from his legs.
Yeah,
those are like Teen Wolf style werewolves.
There was Teen Wolf ones, and then there was like the Wampa, like
the huge one. Yeah.
All right next to each other. So I think it's the same exact thing. They're like, we had all the different vampire styles. Let's have the same different werewolf styles. Why not? Those are probably older werewolves. Which is freaking funny.
Maybe that dog was a werewolf for all we know.
I like that.
Right. I did want to ask you before we move on to our ratings and such. The scene where they're fighting in that hallway, I think it's probably one of those like rotating hallway things. Like I think they did in
Yeah.
Inception.
Right.
I just wanted to. I don't really understand how they make all that work. Like, are there cables involved? How do they make the camera fixed? Does the whole thing turn as one unit?
It literally it's
How does
turned
it work?
on a giant drum basically. So they build the set, and then I believe they shot this in obviously in Wilmington, right? So very likely that some of this stuff was left over from Lord of the Rings type equipment, but it's just this giant drum that they can put a rotating drum that they can build the set into, and then softer walls, things like that, so the actors don't get hurt. But the whole set can rotate within it. A lot of this obviously was done from that, and then throughout the movie, you're talking wire work, some of that stuff. Saying Nick flying through the window, which was really funny because like it's a funny scene in of itself of him learning how to fly, but then also it's also hilarious when you think about the actor who's just actually on a wire, just actually trying to like awkwardly
struggling to get.
They're not helping him, right? They're not rigged up in a certain way to help him do it smoothly. They're allowing him to awkwardly like back in to the window. But again, it's even more so. Like, I don't know how they pulled it off, to be honest. There's not a lot of, this is not like a big budget. There's no behind the scenes featurettes. There's not a lot of stuff for me to like look into other than just assuming that the producers did their jobs. They got scrappy. They called in favors. I'm sure Peter Jackson lent a hand. The New Zealand film community is not a huge one. And so, I'm sure they pulled in some favors. Jemaine called his buddy, Brett, who is what's Brett's elf name in Lord of the Rings? Do you remember that?
Does he have a name?
Yeah, he does. It's he has a meme name. It's like Frodo. Hang on, let me see. Brett McKenzie, elf name.
He's an extra in Lord of the Rings. If you didn't know,
Figwit. Yeah, Figwit. Yeah, Frodo is great. Who is that? So Brett McKenzie, who was the counterpart of Flight of the Conchords, is a Figwit. And so, I don't know, maybe that's how they did it. Pulled in a little bit of New Zealand magic. But I mean, dude, New Zealand, when you're talking about New Zealand, you have this. Lord of the Rings, obviously, Hobbit and the original trilogy. Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was shot in New Zealand. Willow was shot in New Zealand.
Great movie.
Friggin' Kevin Sorbo's Hercules in New Zealand.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Shouldn't have ended on that one. That was probably a little anticlimactic, but
right. And Kevin Sorbo's Hercules.
And Kevin Sorbo and facing the Giants. But I mean, New Zealand is literally it's truly just a magical place. So Kiwis, tip my hat to you. Keep doing it. Whatever magic you guys down there, whatever you have in your pipes that allow you to blow pirate ships, keep doing it.
So just a moment for our Oh Yeah Rights. We'll get into our ratings.
Mm-hmm.
So for my Oh Yeah Right, Stu was 100% murdered by those werewolves.
Dude,
there was like 4 of them.
His intestines were out. Literally, his intestines were out.
That's insane. So Stu is dead.
Yeah.
He's not a werewolf.
That's pretty good.
Oh yeah, right. But
you're right on that one for sure.
It's so much a better ending, the fact that he lives, so I'll let it slide.
and that he lives as a werewolf to set up the sequel.
Werewolves.
Just freaking funny. My Oh Yeah Right is around Peter, who they set up pretty early, is 8,000 years old, right? So I Googled it. That would put him in the Mesolithic period of humankind, which means Peter is a caveman, basically. So you're telling me for 8,000 years, he has not once seen the sun, that this is the time in 2015 with freaking sealed roofed basements. Why do they have a window in the basement? Like,
I wondered the same thing.
Seal everything off.
Actually, I had to rewind it to understand how that could happen in the basement.
It was a window. Someone crawled in the window. Just seal it off. So you're saying somebody who lived for 8,000 years through like the freaking all those like Bronze Age, the Stone Age. They went through all the different ages where they didn't even have roofs. They lived in tents. Hurricanes came through. He lived through all that. But here we are in the modern era, and it was just a guy crawling through the window that did him in. Oh yeah, right on that one. He either would have been dead by now, or sure he figured out some tricks along 8 centuries or 8 millennias.
Millennia.
A lot more than 8 centuries. I feel like freaking Vlad is 8 centuries. He's 8 millennias.
Right.
So, oh yeah, right on that one.
Agreed.
All right. Well, every week we give our ratings on these movies, and we are gonna we'll do a live show soon. I know I keep saying that we will do a live show soon because I think we got to update some of our ratings on the older ones because I do want to start ranking these. I do want to see a sense of where these line on versus some of our other ones, and I think it's only fair if in hindsight we're able to tweak those. But we do it based on story, which is plot, dialogue, character development, rewatchability, fun. That was a new addition, I think, after episode 11. Emotional impact. Matt's going to give the science realism. I'm going to give the filmmaking craft score. Matt, what do you got for story for What We Do in the Shadows?
Story for me is going to be a 3. I don't think the story really matters for this. It's not one of the great tales that we've seen in film so far. It's a good enough story that like there's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Right.
And it's the scaffolding for the rest of the movie. Rewatchability a 10, 100%. I've watched it twice already. I'll probably watch it another time, like maybe this week. Like there's still pieces of it I want to go back and watch again. Fun is of course a 10 on this one. This was a blast. I laughed the whole way through this movie. Emotional impact is a 2. Because there's that moment where you think Stu's dead and that's devastating. And then for science realism on this one, also a 2. Granted, this is a movie about vampires. So there's going to be a lot of wiggle room for it, but there's nothing in this movie that's really scientifically accurate, except for if you bite somebody in an artery, it's going to spray around the room like crazy. So that was accurate.
All right, that's good. So if vampires bite you, don't go for the jugular.
No. Jugular's a vein, low pressure,
okay,
high volume. So that's
it.
a great place to bite.
Okay.
If you hit the carotid, it's going to spray like 20 feet.
Got it.
So,
do vampires? This is probably a misnomer. My entire life, I've kind of pictured vampires as having like straws in their teeth.
Yeah.
Anything?
I think the teeth are just for biting and tearing.
Anything there with that? No. Okay.
You're thinking snakes.
Okay, snakes do that.
Yes, snakes have because their fang is a tube and the venom comes out the tube.
Right. Okay.
So that makes sense.
So why can vampires take it in? Right.
No, vampires they bite and then they just drink it like a normal person.
Got it. All right, that matters for the science realism.
That's what I'm here for, guys.
The Matt, our correspondent expert on the biology of vampires.
Right. I will say it does raise a question. From Dusk Till Dawn, the snake vampire of Selma Hayek.
Yep.
How does that thing drink blood?
Well, I would love to see that crossover. So, again, personally, if I'm throwing out my suggestion box for werewolves, let's get our boy Robert Rodriguez involved. Let's see a Dusk Till Dawn werewolves, What We Do in the Shadows crossover, please.
That would be incredible.
And do not leave Colin Robinson out. But if you do, then put him in as what was his name? K-Strass, K-Strass, the professional yo-yoist. Story, I got a 4, a little bit higher, mainly because I appreciate the skill of the improv actors, basically creating this story, the skill of Jemaine and Taika Waititi, seeing the story real time and being able to alter it. I think that's very impressive, and 195 hours, dude. They could have ended up with nothing, and they ended up really with the congruent storyline. So I think that's very impressive. Rewatchability is a 10. Same. I honestly could rewatch it right now after talking about it for over an hour. Fun, I also have at a 10. Emotional impact, I have at a 3. I moved it up from a 2 because I did think about the storyline that we didn't really talk about of Viago and his love, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is something that for a second there, it actually, especially
Like
when
moved you.
especially when they thought Stu was dead. There was a moment there of not only of his romance, right? But I guess of the sadness. If we are going to put ourselves into these characters' shoes, they're vampires, they're immortal. It's sad. You see everyone you will ever love and have ever loved, you watch them die. Even though Deacon has a really funny line in there where he says, they die by disease, they die by ducks or geese or swans, or sometimes they just die. But again, that the Viago and his love and that side of it, it actually that pulled on me just for a second.
It is sweet.
It is sweet. It's sweet and it's sad when you realize the tragedy of vampires never really having, never really. All they do is see death. So it makes you feel for them. The filmmaking craft, I have it a 6. I think it's low budget, it's indie, it's fun. There's nothing necessarily like special about it, other than I think what they were able to do from the effects standpoint is very impressive, and the editing when you're talking 195 hours down to less than an hour and a half or just over an hour and a half. No, just less than an hour and a half is very, very impressive. So Matt's got a 27. I've got a 33. Wow. So 33 is pretty high for me. 27 is right down the middle pretty much for Matt. Matt, anything we missed?
I don't think so, man. That was a fun one.
That was so fun.
This was one of the most fun times I've had talking about one of our movies. So.
Me too, man. Me too. I had a blast with this. And if you guys want to keep the conversation going, please join us on Patreon. Join that Turtle Club. Help us figure out what movies next. As those movies come out, you're going to be the first to know. You're going to have more time. You're going to have access to our Turtle Club exclusive merch. The first rule of the Turtle Club is you don't talk about the Turtle Club.
Turtle Club.
That's right. Tyler Turton.
Yeah, Tyler Turton, our mascot.
Our mascot on there, and all kinds of fun exclusive stuff that you'll be able to get. But really, you'll be able to support the show and be able to continue down the path that Matt is on of the movie list.
That's right. Getting educated.
That's right.
On all the things I missed out on along the way.
Poor Matt. All right, we'll see you next week on Movie List, guys.
See ya.